Alright, hi everybody. This is going to be a quick tutorial slash overview of my new map. This is a puzzle room set in a catacombs. And the idea of this map is to be an actual physical puzzle that your players can interact with. I wanted to steer away from going too much into the describing a room with riddles and whatnot. I wanted something that the players could actually play around in, look around in. So yeah, let's go over it quickly. So the idea is that your players will enter the room. Either they'll come through this door, possibly coming from another aspect of the dungeon, or they can enter through teleportation circle and then go into the dungeon. Whatever thematically works best for your group is probably how you're going to want to go. So when your players first enter this room, you can go ahead and describe the room itself. It's an underground cavern. Some light shines in through a couple cracks in the ceiling. Various lanterns of different colors illuminate the room, and other than that, there's nothing going on. Now, as they explore the room, they'll discover that there are hints at the puzzle hidden about. I put them in scrolls here. These scrolls were made by Scooby, who I believe his workshop is down, but I still have them to use. So you can simply grab these scrolls, enlarge them to a readable size, right-click on them, go to Trigger Effects, and click Rollout, in which case you will have your first hint. Now, there are 3 hints total hidden in this room. Another one hidden behind this statue. And a final one hidden in this coffin right here. I like the idea of being able to hide physical hints in the room itself that your players can describe, because puzzles are fairly metagamey, but if you wanted to still have them roll for perception to give them a hand, that's something you can do. So hopefully your players will discover all 3 hints, and really you should try and steer them towards finding all 3 hints, because without them the puzzle is going to be a little random. So the 3 hints are: all are expected to serve thrice, the sword and the scroll are many and equal, all serve the throne, destroy the usurpers, there must only be one. So just off the bat, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, but when your players start stepping forward, and one of them is eventually going to step on one of these platforms, that's when the actual puzzle is going to reveal. So while this puzzle is not fully automatic, you do need to control it as a DM. I have a tool here, programmed by my good friend Stom, who I'll link in the workshop below, who is so kind enough to control this puzzle controller. So when your player steps on a platform, you're going to come over to the controller, you're going to click the corresponding button, and the puzzle is going to change based on what they've done. So the way this puzzle works is that depending on how many people stand adjacent to a square, it's going to either go into a scroll, if there's 2 people with only 1 adjacent person. 2 adjacent people will make it into a sword, so I'll put this guy over here, and you'll see that this one and this one will turn into a sword, while this one and this one will become a scroll. So we're going to come here, click, boom. So now your players are going to kind of start seeing that there's different combinations depending on where you stand on the pressure plate. And in fact, there's one more. So if somebody stands, there's 3. Well, that's going to go ahead and make a throne. Now, maybe they're going to start getting the hints, like all are expected to serve thrice, so you're probably going to need 3 of something. The sword and the shield are many and equal, or the sword and the scroll are many and equal, so you're going to need, probably between these 2 hints, 3 scrolls, 3 swords, and all serve the throne. Destroy the usurpers, there must only be 1. So this would hopefully lead them to believe that there must only be 1 throne. So in fact, the way to solve this puzzle is you need 3 swords, 3 scrolls, and 1 throne. But it's not going to be that easy, because if your players accidentally have too many scrolls or too many thrones, well, this would be a good time for you as a DM to introduce a little bit of combat to the puzzle. So what I generally had in my session was when the players had more than 1 throne up, it was going to spawn some mobs. I went with skeletons, zombies, greater zombies, banshees, because I was trying to go for an undead theme here. You could use whatever you want. I would generally recommend that you go with weaker mobs that will get the players to use up a couple of their spell slots or something like that, depending on how difficult you want to make this to them. But if they really aren't understanding the puzzle and they keep making more and more thrones, they could quickly become bogged down in armies of zombies. I found one skeleton per player, with maybe once in a while throwing something a little bit tougher at them, like a greater zombie or a banshee, was what kind of kept them on their toes without making them too relaxed. Now, there is one more situation where if your players have 4 all around one square. Well, we're going to unclick that because the player has moved off of that, and then we're going to click here. And you're going to see it's going to explode. There's going to be a burst of flames, in which case you can now cook your players a little bit. Bit of fire damage, d6, maybe times their level, depending on how much you want to hurt them. Just give them a little something just to tell them they're going in the wrong direction. So eventually your players are going to move around, they're going to fight through combat, they're going to solve it. Hopefully. You may have to give them a bit of a hint. Sorry about that, Alexa. So, the correct way to solve this puzzle is you're generally going to need 3 people, or well, you'll need 4 people to solve this puzzle. If your party doesn't have 4 people, perhaps introduce some crates or vases that they can, discover in the room and move on to the plate. Because to get this, you're really going to need 4 things. It doesn't have to be a player. Of course, most parties are at least 4 or more players, so that should be no issue. The party I run has 6 players, so didn't really need everybody involved. I've gone ahead here and I've solved the puzzle, so this is what you're going to be looking at. There's a few ways to solve this puzzle, but the general idea is you're going to have 1, 2, 3 scrolls, 1, 2, 3 swords, and then the final throne. In which case you can either have this teleportation circle activate, or you can have this door unlock, your players can move on, and hopefully they enjoyed this fun little physical puzzle, a little bit of a change up. And yeah, thanks for listening.